tell you that Saturday was a football team, a defensive football team that was not prepared well enough to play good, and put that on the coaches. I talked to all the coaches on defense. When the team plays like that, what I considered bad, that's on the coaches. We got to coach them better. We got to get them prepared right. We talked about it all week. Don't underestimate a 2-7 football team. Well, if they did, then that's on us. That's the coach's fault. Because that first drive, that was atrocious. That was as bad a defense. We didn't even get them into a third down. They drive down in 7 plays in under 2 minutes and score a touchdown. Now, we were doing things that we have not done since the week 2. And I don't know if it was a bunch of guys that were trying to do special things because the game was big. You got distraction with senior day and stuff. I mean, we were making mistakes, and we had guys doing things. I mean, Caleb Wilson's a great player. I mean, give him credit. I mean, give him all the credit. He had 11 catches, and I mean, after the game, after I talked to you guys, I'm going through those 11 catches in my head and the calls that we have, and how is that even possible? I mean, the first play, his first catch, he catches a little bubble screen. That should be about a 2-yard gain. He gets 10. The second play, we call a defense that we run 1,000 times, and I'm not even just kidding, 1,000 times since spring ball that we've executed, and it's one of our better calls. I mean, he gets pressure, they have a hard time blocking it, and we have a linebacker line up 3 yards off the line of scrimmage, which he's never been coached to, never done, and has not done it. And I don't know if he's intimidated by Caleb Wilson thinking he can't cover him. Well, if he lines up like he's supposed to, he's not going to get picked because they run a mesh route and they pick him. Well, if you're chasing the defensive lineman, you don't get picked. And it ends up being an 18-yard gain. His third catch, I don't want to go through all 11 catches, I could. But, I mean, we just give up, we give him opportunities that of his 11 catches, they out-schemed us on one of them. Well, then that means we didn't coach him good enough. And we played opportunity defense, what I call it, on Saturday. They score the first one, it was atrocious. Then we go down the next 3 drives of the half. They only had the ball 4 times in the first half. Our offense did a great job of moving the ball. They did get the pick 6, but we let them drive down again, and we get an interception. I mean, we stop them on the 4th and 1. Okay, and that was a big time play because if we don't stop them right there, the score is going to be 14-3. But we come back again the next time they drive the ball down, and they miss a field goal. And then we get the 2-minute stop. I mean, Chase, we have an opportunity on one of his, I think it was his 6th catch, where they're protecting the ball. Look, I mean, they're protecting. They leave him in protection, and he didn't even get, actually, this was his 12th catch of the game, but he didn't get credit because the quarterback's scrambling, and he laterals it back to him. So he gets credit for a rush, which I think they didn't give him credit for, but either way, he gets an 8-yard rush. We have an opportunity to tackle him for a 2-yard gain, and Chase tries to tackle him with his back. I mean, guys that tackle with their backs are bad tacklers. So we talked to him about it on the sideline, and he gets frustrated with me because, I mean, we do different things all the time. The very 2-minute stop at the end of the first half, he does a great job. He makes a great tackle, faces the guy up. Every once in a while when you face a guy up, you're going to get run over. And they get 1 more yard, and that's okay. And once those guys continue to improve on that, then we'll be a really good tackling team. Right now we're an average tackling team because they want to tackle with their backs. If you can teach me how to tackle with your back and be successful, then we'll make a lot of money because we'll be coaching everybody how to do it. Then the second half, they have 6 possessions. Once again, opportunity defense. The first one, first series, we get a 3 and out. Second series, they drive it down, but we get the interception. And then they scored 2 touchdowns in the second half on defense, and both those touchdown drives were in under 2 minutes, and they were the majority of Caleb Wilson's catches. We had opportunities in the first half. I think we were 5 of 7 on 3rd downs. That's terrible. To start the game, like I said, the first drive we don't even get them in a 3rd down. And then they go 5 of 5 on 3rd down before we actually make a 3rd down stop. In the second half, give Evan Fields some credit because we had a 3rd and 5 that on Caleb Wilson's 7th catch, he runs out there to the flat when he should be sitting right there in the middle where he catches the ball. Well, to his credit, we talk about it on the sideline, and on 3rd and 5 later in the game, we're down 24, or we're up 24-21. he dives over the top and makes a stop, and we make them punt. And then our offense drives down and scores, and we make it 31-21. And I think those two, the 4th down stop, and I think that 3rd and 5 stop by Evan Fields is the difference between us having a chance to win and lose. Because we never gave them the momentum of taking the lead to see if we could fight back like we did against SC. We were able to stay ahead. And then giving up, when we get up by 10 with 4 minutes to go, you shouldn't give up that drive in friggin' 1:59 seconds. We have a pass interference again on that drive where the ball should be intercepted and the game should be over. And then Cam Phillips. DeMonte King gets hurt on the 3rd play of the game. And Cam Phillips, who had practiced with the first team at the Field Ranger all week, gets thrown into the Boundary Ranger for 66 snaps. And he ends up being our leading tackler. Now, on catch 8 and 10 of Caleb Wilson, it's an over route that Cam Phillips, one time he should be sitting there and the linebacker blitzes instead of dropping underneath him. The next time Cam Phillips plays in the flat because him and Chase screw up the coverage. So, I mean, we were doing all kinds of erratic stuff. I mean, going rogue. And that's not on them, that's on the coaches. So we had a good talk as a coaching staff. It won't happen again because that's ridiculous. That's what we get paid to do. So thank God we won. We made enough plays with the opportunity football, and this 439 yards is sure. I got my wife sitting over here. The first thing she says is, "What was that?" So it's not what she's used to either. So we need to put an end to those days so I don't have to hear it all week.
You guys stepping up. I mean, obviously the targeting call. Did you feel that stepping up and playing within what you want to do, there was things going on with the targeting call when Merlin goes out? Do you feel that maybe some guys are trying to do more? Not that it's an excuse, but I mean.
No, I think we had a lot of that all day. I think guys were trying to do special things and make big plays instead of just staying within the scheme and doing what we do. Merlin getting thrown out on targeting. I mean, that, like I said after the game, I mean, that's a hard rule to referee, and he had a great lick on the quarterback. I mean, you got to teach him to, get your head on the side and hit him right in the gut with your shoulder pads. And there's times in a football game nowadays that they called that targeting because Merlin hit him too hard. That's what it comes down to. He did. I mean, he's got him face. Now on film, it looks like maybe his helmet is going up because he hits him right in his face right here, and the crown of his helmet is right here underneath him. Now, it never makes contact with the chin, but, I mean, he hit him really hard. That was Caleb Wilson's 6th catch of the day, by the way, that went for 33 yards on that play because we don't cover him as a D lineman. Jermaine Lole lets him go. But we have to overcome those deals. We have to make sure that when the next guy comes in, it's not a big deal. Don't try and do something special. I think Merlin had played really, really well up until that point, too. He was having one of his better games, which is a contrast from the week before, because the week before he was as bad as he's played all year. So he prepared himself right, and then now we're going to miss him for the first half of this game. But the guys, I mean, football is a cliche sport, next man up. I mean, that's the case. We don't change what we do because we lose a guy. So those guys need to learn to step up. And we played enough guys early on in the year that we have enough guys with some experience that can come in and fill in for him. So there shouldn't be that much of a drastic drop-off. Now, he's a great player, so you miss him, but you might have missed the leadership of him a little bit because he does some of that stuff too.
How are you guys preparing for Justin Herbert this week?
Great quarterback. Great. I mean, they've got some offensive weapons that are scary. I mean, they can run the ball. I mean, Verdell, if he's healthy. If not, Trey Dye. I mean, they've got 3 of them. Tony Banks, who played from last year, they got 3 of them that are dangerous. They can go 80 yards every time they touch the ball. Dylan Mitchell's one of the best, most unique wideouts that we've gone against this year. So Chase will have and Kobe will have his hands full because most of the time he's on the outside. Now, every once in a while, they're going to put him in the slot, and we'll see if Evan Fields and Ashari and Cam Phillips can cover him. He throws the ball really well in the pocket. I mean, he's not afraid. He's got great feet. He can run. He's smart with his decisions. If he thinks he's going to get hit from 2 angles, he'll slide and make defenders run into each other or take targeting calls. He's got good pocket awareness. He'll step up and throw the ball. I mean, he's potentially the first pick in the NFL draft this year if he comes out. I hope he does. We don't have to play him anymore. I just hope he doesn't prove it on Saturday that he deserves to be that guy. So, I mean, he's dangerous.
So you talk about Merlin's absence and other players who can step up. How do you assess J.J. Wilson's readiness?
JJ's, he's practiced really hard the last 4 weeks. This new redshirt rule, I mean, has left opportunities. I mean, we have options. He has options. when you miss a whole bunch of time in football, you kind of get out of shape, and I think over the last 4 weeks he's done a really good job of getting into shape because he had the ankle injury at Washington. He was probably hobbled for about 3 weeks legitimately that he couldn't do anything. The last 3 weeks he's practiced and practiced at full speed. Merlin's out, so he'll have an opportunity. He's worked with the ones and twos this week. He's going to travel with us, which he hadn't been doing. Getting in football shape is completely different than anything else. I mean, I can run around Tempe Town Lake all I want and not be able to play in a football game because you're not getting beat on when you're just out there running, and that takes a little bit of getting used to. So we've tried to do some of that through practice, and he's going to play. So we'll see how he performs, and then Malik Lawal and Kyle Soule will help with that rotation in the first half and see what we can do.
With the implications on the line, and how do you keep your set of guys focused on the game at hand versus looking too far ahead to what you guys know is there, but focusing on the now?
I think we've got enough young guys that they don't even know what day it is. They aren't worried about winning the Pac-12 South. They aren't worried about potentially going to the Rose Bowl. They're worried about what time school is tomorrow. Whether or not I'm going to get mad at them because they don't go to mentoring, which I'll go knock on their door and drag them to mentoring. So, I don't think we have issues with overlooking things. I don't think they see the big picture. I mean, they're still worried about their assignments getting lined up and trying to get ready for Oregon. So I don't think that's an issue. I think they didn't handle the distractions well last week, and like I said, that's on the coaches. So we will prepare them better.
Kind of piggybacking off of that, do you think that you can use that to your advantage at Oregon with it being their senior day, maybe turn up the tempo on defense early on in the game, see if you can get them off balance with all the emotions that they're going to be dealing with?
Yeah, I mean, Herbert's a great quarterback, and they're going to have high emotions. He's not a senior, so they're not celebrating him. He could be very much like Nikhil this week. I mean, they kind of celebrated him a little bit, not knowing whether he's going to come back next week. So we gotta just answer their onslaught. I mean, if we can hold them off early on and get through those emotions, because I mean, we were a very emotional football team on both sides of the ball on Saturday. And I don't know if it helped us start fast or start slow. I mean, like I said, I thought we did a lot of rogue things on defense, so maybe that was from that preparation. Herbert's a great quarterback. Stand back there in the pocket. The only way to, in my opinion, the only way to slow down a great thrower is to get pressure and hit him. Well, to get pressure and hit him, you have to play man coverage. I'd rather go down shooting all our guns at them and take a chance of having a chance to stone them, send pressure and see if we can get to them, and that means you're going to put pressure on the guys outside to cover them. And if we can do that in the first half and get over that onslaught, then it's just a football game. Really, the first couple of plays, the emotion should be out of it. So hopefully we can get through that and not give up something big.
Time for two more if anyone has any.
When you were at San Diego State, was there ever a season where you had to rely on so many freshmen?
Not true freshmen, but if you go back 2014, we had just had two guys drafted from the same secondary to the NFL, and we were playing with that secondary coming into the 2014 season. Had one guy that had played 13 snaps of Division I football. So very similar to what we're dealing with here, except it was in the secondary. We had more players up front that were veterans. For an entire football team or an entire unit on the side of the ball, no, I've never been a part of something like that. I mean, shoot, at one point we had 6 freshmen out there on Saturday. That's a lot of freshmen to be playing. Usually, I mean, there's an old saying, for every true freshman you start, you lose one game. Well, we're going to be up to our 5th true freshman starting this week, and I hope that's wrong, because we got an opportunity to win the next 2 and finish 8-4. And then we'll have an opportunity to play 2 more games if we do that. So give those guys credit, because freshmen playing at this time of year, none of them, and I mean none of them, have played this much football in one season. Their high school football, I mean, they're talking about state championships and playoffs already right now, so they're done. Well, these guys still have potentially 4 more games to play, so they're a little bit worn out, but I don't think it's affecting the way they're playing, and it won't, because we won't allow it. We don't make excuses. I mean, all this, they're young and they're freshmen, all that stuff, those are excuses. And if you want to be good, you don't make excuses. So we deal with what we have, and we fight on, and we learn from whatever mistakes they make. So that's the direction we're headed.
Someone told you at the beginning of the season that this late in the year you were playing 6 freshmen a lot of snaps. What would have got you there?
I wouldn't have been surprised. I mean, from what we had in the spring, those guys were good, and then we evaluate what we have in the fall, and you could see there's potential with some of those guys. The new redshirt rule that came out last April gives you an opportunity to use guys like Cam Phillips, where later on in the season they have an opportunity to play and compete at a high level. I mean, he competed at a high level on Saturday. He gives up a touchdown in the 2-minute. Outside of that, the very first play that Caleb Wilson, they throw that bubble out there and he gets 10. Well, against Cam Phillips later in the game, the exact same play, which was his 7th catch, they throw it to him on a bubble, and Cam Phillips makes the tackle for 2 yards, just like it should have been. So he played at a high level. He just made some freshman mistakes that comes with inexperience. I mean, that young man now has 70 plays under his belt. Well, he's going to be better this week, and hopefully those 2 guys that are injured day to day, they'll prepare themselves the right way to play. But you're going to see 15 out there. I can promise you that. He's going to play. He's earned it, so he's going to play.
I mean, obviously, you're a defensive guy. You practice against Eno most of the time, and just a year ago, you were practicing against Rashad Penny most of the time. And obviously, they're different backs from a physical build. But what are some like similar ways or different ways you see them kind of succeed between the lines?
The number one thing that I think is the most important that I love is they have the same competitive edge. They compete every single day in practice. Rashad Penny was as hard a worker in practice as I've ever been around. And Eno Benjamin matches that. I think the culture of our program, if you build that within your program, that every day they're competing, you have a chance to be really successful. And I think it goes with the coaches and players. Everybody has to compete. And I mean, there was a 2-minute drill today, and I love the guy that was in here 2 people before me, and Manny. I think he's an ultra competitor. We're going down 2 minutes, and he says one of those drills they call a running play down there on the goal line and say they scored. Well, sometimes competitive juices get a little too much, because I looked at Manny, I said, no, you didn't. You did not score. And he smiled at me like he did, and I said, oh, by the way, we sacked you down there, so you had to waste your timeout, so you couldn't have ran that play. So, I mean, we have a little fun banter back and forth, which is fun. But getting back to your question, goodness gracious, that was wild. Eno and Rashad, their competitive natures is very similar. And that's why Eno's going to have a chance, if he keeps the statistics going that he's doing, he's going to break the rushing record here at school. He's only a sophomore, so he's going to have 2 more opportunities to do something nationally. I mean, if we can win some games, then you all of a sudden, like we had Rashad Penny and Donnell Pumphrey at San Jose State, you're talking about a Heisman campaign, all those stuff. He's talented enough. He's that special of a player, and the culture and the competitiveness helps, and that helps everybody.
Thank you, Coach. I wasn't sure, but Merlin has to be in the locker room in the first half, or do you know?
I don't believe so. I think you only, when you get ejected, you have to leave the facility. But I believe he can be on the sideline in the first half. That's my plan. We'll find out. That's a good question. We'll have to find out to make sure.